Hi everyone, this is Ravi Kumar Bandaru along with my teammate Pranav Kumar Kondapaneni, and today we are here to discuss on the topic NoSQL and Cloudbase as a part of our research project. And yeah, coming to discuss the background, what makes this NoSQL database or Cloudbase management system everything into account is there has been a rapid increase in the usage of data in all the sectors over the past 20 years. This increase the challenges in maintaining data quality and as well as data streaming and data modeling. Even traditional relational database are unable to deal with it. Like even like traditional relational databases, which uses tables in the form of rows and columns, are also facing a lot of challenges in maintaining big data. It's because there has been a humongous increase in the data over these years. So here where non-relational databases come into play to make the task easier, and we'll discuss those why these non-relational databases are able to make this data look and to work on this data look easier. Yeah. So it's NoSQL database, and the term NoSQL database is firstly named by Carlos Trossi in 1998, and then it was brought into attention with a conference held in San Francisco later. And NoSQL means it's not only SQL, like it's an open source but scattered database which doesn't have any fixed schema. It has flexible schemas, and it does not only use SQL for query, it also uses non-relational databases. So NoSQL is a database management system which is which main purpose is to store and work on big data analytics. Like when we mention big data or data in huge volume, we need NoSQL database. And ACID properties, like we know um, in every transaction there should be atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. As we know, traditional structured query language, that is SQL, upholds all these ACID properties and as well as normalization properties also. But NoSQL, it doesn't always follow these properties. Like it's not mandatory to follow all these rules in NoSQL. And NoSQL is preferred when you are dealing and when you need to process on big data, like when you're, so it is structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. When you want to deal data in excess volume, like large data in across different servers or different databases, then we come up with NoSQL, as it is well known for its speed and flexible schemas and as well as distributed databases. Yeah, these are some mm, noted differences between SQL databases and NoSQL databases. Like the main thing is data storage model in SQL databases, where we use tables with fixed rows and columns, and whereas in NoSQL databases, these are of different formats, like document-based database, key value-based data, key value pairs, column-based data pairs, and as well as graph-based databases. These are different types of formats, which makes NoSQL very flexible, and schemas are flexible in NoSQL database. Like this is the main, like we could say it is a major property of NoSQL database. Whereas in SQL database, it is rigid. The joins are typically not required in NoSQL databases. And scaling. Yeah, this is the important factor which makes NoSQL databases to be able to work on different servers and dealing with a large amount of data is its scalability. Like it is scalable in horizontal. So uh, it makes to work, it makes NoSQL databases to deal with a large amount of data. And few examples in where we use SQL softwares are like Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL are regular servers which we use for maintaining, like to work with SQL database. And NoSQL databases like MongoDB, CouchDB, Cassandra, HBase, DynamoDB. These are few examples which uses NoSQL database and NoSQL properties. And the key features of NoSQL are, as I mentioned before, NoSQL databases have flexible schemas, which makes data storage more flexible, and as well as horizontal scalability of NoSQL databases, which makes them easier to handle large amounts of data and distribute across different servers and across even large servers too. And this scalability and dynamic schema makes data models to be optimized, and as well as distributed architecture makes NoSQL databases to work more efficiently, accurately, and at a high speed. Flexible data model, like as I mentioned before, there are different formats in NoSQL databases like key pairs, document based, column oriented databases, and as well as graph based databases. And document oriented databases are regular, like they are used in more. For example, in MongoDB uses document based data. Like it uses documents to store data. Documents are self-contained units of data, so it makes to store and retrieve and make necessary changes in complex data structures. So the rest of the part will be continued by my teammate Pranav.
Thank you, Ravi, for your explanation. Now we'll be discussing different types of NoSQL databases. There are document-based database, key value stores, column-oriented databases, and graph-based databases. First, we'll discuss about document-based database. It is a non-relational database. Instead of storing the data in rows and columns, we'll be using documents to store the data. The data is stored in JSON, Bison, or XML database documents. Next, we'll be discussing key value stores. It is a non-relational database. The simplest form of no, NoSQL database is a key value store. Here, every element in the database is stored in key value pairs. The data can be retrieved by using a unique key which is allocated to each element in the database. The values in the data can be strings, numbers, or complex objects. Next, we'll be discussing column-oriented databases. It is a non-relational database that stores the data in columns instead of rows. Next, graph-based databases. It is a database which focuses on the relationship between the elements. It stores the data in form of nodes in the database. The connection between the nodes are called links. Next, next slide, please. Now we'll be discussing cloud database. It is a database that can be accessed from the cloud providers via the internet by the users at a moment's notice. It stores the data at different data centers at different locations. Uh, Different cloud databases are marketed by various cloud providers such as AWS, Azure, which can be fully owned by the cloud providers or can be open sourced. Next slide, please. Now we'll be discussing CAP theorem. Modern stores such as Cassandra and BigTime uses partitions and other methods to store to create solutions that can be leveraged in the cloud. These solutions have restrictions which are summarized in the CAP theorem. At a moment, only two of the three CAP properties can be satisfied by the network shared systems. The properties in the CAP theorem are consistency, availability, and partition tolerance properties. First, consistency in the CAP theorem is dissimilar and is a subset of consistency in ACID theorem. Next, availability property means the data should be available at a moment's notice for the user. Partition tolerance property. It represents the capacity of the network shared data systems for network partitions. A large number of data stores have emerged that are exploring the different trade-offs between the CAP theorem properties, such as NoSQL and NewSQL. Next slide, please. Now we'll be discussing different databases that are available in the market. MongoDB, it is a document-oriented database where the data is stored in Bison or JSON documents. It is written in C++ language. Uh, MongoDB has auto sharding. As the data collections are partitioned, the data collections and the partitions are stored across different servers. Next, we will be discussing Apache Cassandra. It is developed by Facebook. It is a column family database. Some of its key features include decentralization. Next, we'll be discussing Apache CoachDB. It is also a document-oriented database. It is written in Wrangle. Here, the data is stored in JSON documents, and we use MapReduce as a query language. Here, the storage and query capabilities are limited when compared to MongoDB. Next slide, please. Here, we'll be discussing an example in for cloud database. Here, we have used MongoDB. This is a database which we have downloaded from the available sample databases. We have used sample ARB listings and reviews. Next slide, please. In this terminal, we have given queries where we have um, uh, uh, we use the count, and we have count to the count the number of rows, number of columns, number of rows in the database which we have downloaded from the cloud, and we have used a find query to use to find the to uh, get the required output from the given database. Next, Ravi will be discussing the conclusion and reference which we have used for this project. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your detailing, Pranav. And these are few references which I have used to cover all the information regarding NoSQL and Cloudbase. And like still these technology and everything related to uh, non-relational, non-traditional, non-relational databases and as well as cloud-based technology is still is in still development process, and many researches are being undergone till today. So to conclude with, like when we are about to deal with large amounts of data, and nowadays data has been the most vital thing in our life, because from like the day we wake up, mm, our day starts with data. So everything comes up with data. Using data, we can get like future forecast and past, and the data is being used in each part of our life. Hence, data is to be maintained appropriately, so as to maintain, sometimes national security is involved with this data management, and data privacy uh, can be a huge security to a human being. So to maintain all these, databases are required, and uh, NoSQL databases and other cloud-based databases, whatever there are in the market, they are trying to improve and enhance these techniques of storing and working on data. So to conclude with, like when we are dealing with NoSQL, when we need to work on big data and we need to perform big data analytics in huge proportions, then we come up with NoSQL databases. And there do exist advantages and disadvantages with every database, whether it is traditional SQL database or non-traditional NoSQL databases. But it comes to the usage and the application of the techniques of those databases. So with all our knowledge and our research, we conclude this presentation, and I hope we have given enough information and with the best of our knowledge. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you.